Heyo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of IoT Nuggets with IoT Group. I'm Doug Cohen from M10 Social. I'm joined by the man 2 slots over as my co-host, Mr. Steve Brummer from IoT Group.
Yes, I'm still here. No one's gotten rid of me yet.
Alive and kicking.
Well,
you're a founder. Come on, man.
That's right. All founders here. Speaking of founders, we have Mr. Leonard Lee joining us as a special guest today from neXt.
Hey.
Yay.
Hello, Leonard. Hey. Leonard is the managing director and founder of neXt, and you can actually check out his company's website at next-curve.com.
There you go. Yes, correct.
And thank you, everybody, for joining. A little housekeeping, as usual, IoT Group over there. Steve's pointing to it, .com. Yeah. That's the website. Make sure to connect with IoT Group on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, where you can watch all the nuggets from this series. And that leads us to today's IoT Nugget with Mr. Leonard Lee. We're going to talk about what neXt does in the IoT space, some exciting things. Leonard coming to us from San Diego, and I'm going to turn it over to Steve and Leonard to take it away. Gentlemen.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Doug and Leonard. Appreciate the opportunity to have you on our IoT Nuggets, and I thank you for allowing me to join your IoT coffee talk that I did last week. So
absolutely
I appreciate the time. So give some, again, these IoT Nuggets are about information sharing, little snippets of information, what's going on in the industry so people can learn a little bit more. So tell us a little bit about neXt and what you guys do and what your claim to fame is.
Yeah, sure. So neXt is a research advisory firm that I started about 4 years ago now. Wow, time flies.
Yeah.
And our focus, so we're based here in beautiful San Diego. We're in the middle of 5G town, and we're enjoying the weather. It's just beautiful here year-round, and it's also a great place to be tapped into some of the leading edge stuff that's happening in wireless and technology in general. I mean, and so it's really, as far as neXt goes, like I said, we're a research advisory firm that focuses on ICT research in these white space areas that are emerging. So think about, and the way that we really look at what we do at neXt is we are bridge makers. So when you look at all these technologies that are kind of converging, these domains that are converging across the ITC universe, there are all these new areas that are forming, and oftentimes there are no experts in these new areas, quite honestly, right? Because it's a blend of IT, DT, OT, it's industrial. Now all these different vertical domains are becoming really important to these various technology industries and market segments. And so it's very complex, and that's what we focus on. And in fact, we work with some of the leading tech companies on exactly that, which is charting these areas for them, helping them understand how they should look at these market opportunities, how they should go to market, and maybe even help them figure out how to shape the demand around these new domains, right? Because, if the technology companies don't know about it, enterprises don't know about it. Yep. And one of the things that they would like to do is continue to drive innovation across industries, across their value chains, and amongst their customers by making them aware of these opportunities, right? And so one of the great things that we're looking at right now, or the big things that we're looking at now, is edge computing, but more specifically the edge cloud as it relates to not only telco, but IT. What does it mean for enterprises? What does it mean for the telco? And then from an IoT perspective, what does it mean for the industrial sector or the consumer sector, right, of IoT? So These
Excellent.
are the fun things that we're doing at neXt.
Great.
I went kind of long with that, didn't I? Sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries. The other thing too is I read your posts, the writings that you oh hell yeah, every one of them. And the most recent one really struck me, which is why, the reciprocation for last week, but also why I wanted to get you on, because it was about realizing IoT project success and POCs. And you discussed POC challenges. Just give us a quick feel for some of the top POC challenges that you wrote about and what you're seeing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and it's interesting because we've been talking about this whole POC purgatory for a long time in IoT, right?
Yep.
And it's weird that piece that I did, it continues to resonate across the audience, the various IoT audiences that I speak to, especially vendors. You would think that it would be for the enterprises. The enterprises don't care. It's like, you're going to give me this free stuff and whatever this POC stuff you're talking about. Oh yeah, sure. We'll do it as long as we don't have to pay for it. And so they don't care about it. It's something that really irks a lot of IoT vendors that are trying to sell through and into this IoT opportunity. And what I wrote about was this: is how do we avoid that? And there's this purgatory. It's really not good for anyone. Right. And one of the key things that I write about, especially for vendors, is, let's really understand what a POC is, right? For you, a POC is more of a phase or a progression of what you're trying to build and go to market with for your products, right? For your customer, the way they look at a POC is from a procurement perspective. They assume that this is a finished good. It's a finished thing that they now can vet, and then they select whether it's a product or it's a service. So, what we oftentimes hear, Steve, and I know that there's a lot of folks that approach you guys at BH IoT Group, is to figure out how do we go to market with this thing to meet this very bespoke need, right? Or how do we make our solutions relevant? And the tricky part is this: is IoT, unfortunately, is not like your father's ERP, right? It really isn't. It's such a complex thing to sell through to your customers and translate all that technology, the technology benefits, into a business benefit. And you and I know how easy it is to just say, well, you need to just speak in terms of business value.
Right.
It's like, you know how hard that is?
Yeah. You can't do it every time. It's never going to happen.
Super hard. Right. And so, for the vendors, just understand that a POC is something that you really need to do. And you need to do the hard selling job of going out there and convincing customers to pay you for consulting.
Yep.
And if you're going to go and do an experiment on your customers, which is what a lot of these POCs end up being, you understand that, actually going in there with a technology story is not going to get you necessarily. It's going to be a difficult narrative for you to develop to get to the purse strings, if you know what I mean. And I know that you know what I mean. We talk about this stuff all the time. And so that's the other thing. And then, on the flip side for the enterprise, it's like, look, if you're really serious about unleashing the power of IoT, or even discovering what the power of IoT is for your business and the value that you can realize through implementing something that is really going to address your business needs or stretch what your business can do, pay for that consulting, get some good people, pay for it. And one of the things that really resonated, especially for a lot of vendors, and I guess this is something you have to sell to the enterprise, is we do this stuff for free. You know what?
You get what you pay for.
You're probably not going to get what you paid for, which is nothing.
Exactly.
So pony up. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's going to be a challenge. I mean, really what it is a disconnect in how the two sides are communicating. And what's really needed is that guidance to kind of bridge that gap, because as you and I always talk about seemingly, is that divide continues to be pretty huge.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome.
That's what the article was about.
And I encourage everybody out there in IoT Nugget land to follow what Leonard is writing about on a regular basis and listen to IoT Coffee Talk. So thank you so much for joining us. It was a great session. Appreciate your time as always. So back to you, Doug.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Leonard, thank you for that recap on the article that you wrote and where neXt Curve is leading in the IoT space. We appreciate you coming on and giving us some of that information.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Absolutely. So everybody, don't forget, you can check out neXt Curve at next-curve.com, and then you can go to bhiotgroup.com as well. Make sure to connect with BHIoT Group on LinkedIn as well as YouTube. You can see all the rest of the nuggets. You can reach out to Steve and John Hubler and the rest of the crew at BHIoT Group to talk about your IoT strategy and how to go to market with it. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you join us for the next edition of IoT Nuggets.
Nuggets, yay!
Thanks.
Thanks again.
Guys.
Thank you.